I'm not. Hi. Finally, after almost 6 months, we've been
Yeah,
talking. But yeah, I'm excited to have you on the first episode of season 3 of KGUP Presents. So welcome.
thanks for having me.
So this has been quite a year. I already did my opening and kind of introduce what the season's about. And I wanted to open it up with David Weiss because he's kind of like the most respected person in the this community.
I don't know about
And
that. I might have the loudest mouth, but that's about it. Go ahead.
but you seem to be the most knowledgeable and less, you don't flap your jaws as much as some of the other people I've watched over this past year, you know. And you're more available. I mean, I've counted like 246 interviews that you've done, and you have so many more lined up, which is just absolutely crazy. But I mean, that's the only way that the word's really going to get out because the censorship is so bad.
It's horrible.
You
That's
search, yeah,
I'm talking on YouTube why we can. Right, right now they're not blocking it; they're hiding our stuff. You Google flat Earth, with you're going to end up with flat Earth society. You're going to end up with nonsense because that's what they feed you. To find the real stuff, it's a little more difficult.
right. Yeah, I mean, my brother back in like 2015, he showed me a picture of a disc in space, and he's like, "Check this out!" And then it showed water falling off the Earth, and and it showed like space all around. I'm like, "This is ridiculous! I can't look at this garbage."
Well, what globs, I call them, think flat Earth is ridiculous. They think the Earth is a disc in space with water falling off the edge, and all sorts of stuff. If this is what flat Earth is, then flat earthers are crazy, right? But this is
Right.
just this is mind control. This is nothing what flat Earth is. We're not a disc floating in a heliocentric solar system, or even with a bunch of pancakes. We're not a pancake in space.
Yeah, no sane person would believe that. Not
Right.
at all.
It's funny, the globs, they don't know their own model, and what they know about the flat Earth model is all nonsense. So they're double disadvantaged.
Yeah. I thought I knew where we lived. And then, I was teaching eighth grade up in North Hollywood. And we showed a video by Vsauce.
Oh boy.
And it showed the projection of the sun flying through infinite space at 1.3 million miles an hour. And then it showed us circling the sun at 66.6 thousand miles an hour. And then all the planets in the solar system are going 500,000 miles chasing the sun. And I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense. There's no empirical way that we can prove this. This is factual. I mean, these are just assumptions. I mean, you can't look through a telescope and visibly watch this craziness happen,
You
and we're
can
just supposed to blindly believe it.
Right. I mean, you can use actual science, their science, to disprove the heliocentric model completely. Do we know exactly what this world is? Absolutely not. But we know it's not a disk and not a ball flying through an infinite space vacuum. That's ridiculous. I mean, we have all of these motions going on at once, but somehow if you go to the Georgia Guidestones and you look through this little hole, you'll see Polaris. It never moves. Polaris is there. Do a time lapse. You got stars circling around it. How can we be traveling all of those directions? In 6 months from now, we're going to be 186 million miles on the other side of the sun. And in that 6 months, the sun has traveled 500,000 miles an hour times the number of hours in 6 months. But somehow Polaris never moves from that hole. These
And then
numbers and distances are ridiculous.
in mainstream science tells us that we were stationary in this one point for 40,000 years, and we're supposed to like move, and Polaris is going to be another star that's going to be a fixed point.
Right. So the pyramids have a shaft you look through, and there's Polaris, right? And they tell us in
Mm.
40,000 years, we're going to have another North Star. And then, 40,000 years ago, there was a different one. So for all of those 40,000 years, in between where we are now, there was no star through that hole. You were just waiting for a new star to show up. It's the dumbest thing ever. I mean, people think flat earthers are idiots. People think flat earthers are crazy. Globers are absolutely insane. They don't know what they're defending. They don't know what they're arguing about. They don't know what the flat earth model is, but they defend it like their life counts on it. Nobody likes having their ball taken away. And when you look at flat earth, your ball is removed. It is gone. It is a joke. And you wonder how you ever believed it in the first place.
I don't know if you know this, but the Kaaba, have you ever heard of that's the cube that's in the city of Mecca that was
Yeah.
built in 608 CE. And it also has a hole, kind of like the Georgia Guidestones, and it's pointing at the North Star.
Interesting, huh?
So, yeah,
But it's only
you
going to
know,
last for a little while because eventually it's going to be out of alignment, right? They spend all
right,
this time and effort to do these things that it's only going to last for a little while. If the Earth was moving any of those motions, by the time they were done drilling the hole, it would be out of alignment, right? As soon as they set the
right.
stone up, it would be out of alignment. It's insanity. It's absolute insanity. And then the story is, oh, it's so far away that it's not even there. Its light has been traveling forever. I'm like, people don't
We
understand.
can't even observe that.
No, yeah, people don't understand. That they make space. They make well, in space, light doesn't get dimmer over distance because there's nothing there, right? But we can prove that perspective. Here's the sun right next to the Earth, and we move it away 93 million miles, and it becomes very small in the sky. You look up, the sun is about the size of a coin held at arm's length, right?
Right.
So it reduced from filling the entire screen to the size of a coin held at arm's length. If we made it 24 times farther, do you think you could see it?
Probably not.
Well, if I said twice as far, the answer is probably not. But 24 times, absolutely
Well,
scientifically,
definitely not.
provably not. 100%, because its angular size is going to get smaller and smaller, and our eyes can only resolve to a certain size, and then it disappears. 24 times farther is 3 light hours. Okay, the distance light travels in 3 hours. Okay, they tell us Polaris is 433 light years away.
Wow.
433 light years. Okay, right? Polaris is also 46 times bigger than our sun. So to be fair, we'd have to make it 46 times farther. So round that up to 48 for 2 days. 2 days times 3 hours is 6 light days. Polaris is scientifically provably too small to see at 6 light days away. But they tell us it's 433 light years away. Okay.
Wow.
Game over. You're believing nonsense. Stars are not these giant gas balls in a vacuum. That's a problem, right? A gas ball in a vacuum. How is that even an idea? It's a
That's always
stupid
blew
idea
my
is what
mind
it is.
too.
What's that?
You know, that's always blew my mind is about the whole vacuum theory. And we're supposed to believe that these spacesuits they provide enough compression that they don't suck, the everything out of you. Like we were supposed to believe back in, was it 2016 when Tesla sent up that Roadster and it was completely intact. I mean, I would think that everything would have just imploded
The
or
tires would have
exploded,
exploded. Sure.
right? Because the pressure inside would blow up like a balloon and it would pop just like a hot air balloon that exceeds the high altitude.
Mark Sargent has a challenge out there to go into a vacuum chamber wearing a spacesuit with another astronaut, because if they put it, because he knows that you would die. The spacesuit, these are snowboarding suits. Okay, these are the cool snowboarding outfits, right? These things would explode, right? You've seen the video of a tanker, of a metal tank on a train where they suck all the air out of it and it just implodes. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, the opposite is true. If you filled it, if you put that in a vacuum, it would explode. Okay. Right. These soft suits, he would blow up like this guy. This is in a vacuum chamber. Okay. It's insane. And then Tesla, all right, Elon Musk, the fraud that he is, I encourage everybody to go check out Greg Reese's expose on Elon Musk. Every single thing he has told us about who he is, the companies that he runs, are lies. He is just a puppet for the Illuminati. But right here, snap that picture right there. Wouldn't that be a poster in every Tesla showroom? Wouldn't there be
You would think.
T-shirts? Yeah, there's not a single photo of it in any Tesla showroom. It's never used in an ad. It was never on the cover of Science, Omni, Science, Time, Newsweek. Never. It was just the stupid launch that they did. Had many glitches that we found, many glitches. And Elon, even at the press conference, he goes, "You can tell it's real because it looks so fake. We'd have better CGI." That's what he said. That's what he said. Okay.
And
I
that's real
think
footage, right?
that's real fake footage is what it is. I said,
Wow.
yeah, I said that he I forgot what I was going to say. It's just,
Sorry.
yeah, I totally forgot what I was going to say. It was a good point. So just assume I made a good point. Go ahead.
Oh, well, Elon had made that statement. Like it looks so real because it looks
Oh
so
yeah, that's
fake
what I
or
was going to say. Was he told to say that to mock us, or did he just come out there trying to do damage control? I'm not sure. Either one, it's still a problem.
Yeah, I think he was kind of deflecting because he knew it looked fake, and that's why they never really showed it. They showed it the one time, and then it was pretty
And
much
that's
gone.
it. Right. And then I
Yeah.
heard people like I was traveling on business and I was having dinner at a bar and there was a table of, millennials behind me and they were just talking about, Elon's Tesla in space. It's so cool. And I finally just turned around. I said, did you guys actually see it? Because, and they were like, oh no, we didn't see it, but we heard about it. I'm like, you didn't even watch it. I'm like, go watch it. I go watch it. You won't be taught. It's the dumbest thing ever. It's like people believe because they want to believe. We all been grown up. We all were raised on space stories, Star Wars, Star Trek, Universal Pictures with their plane flying around. They couldn't even get the plane right. They got the globe and the plane's flying like this. It should be flying, with its belly down, but they didn't want to do that because that would wake people up if they showed you really how a plane flies around the globe.
Right. I think it was in 1929 when they released that globe,
How did
the
they
Hollywood
know?
Globe.
Yeah. How did they know what it would
Yeah.
look like? And then NASA,
Right.
got a picture. Oh, guess what? It looked just like that.
And then I just discovered a couple of weeks ago that between 1941 and 1945, the military published over 40,000 maps. And I found out that the reason why they did that is to kind of, it was disinformation. So other countries couldn't find Hawaii or any parts of the US as easily. So they really just published all this stuff to make
Yeah,
everyone
there are
confused.
no great perfect maps. I go with the Gleason map is what I believe is the closest to reality. And it seems to work because every time they have like an emergency plane landing or something, it lines up with the Gleason's map and not the globe. So
So
that's
explain how
interesting.
the Gleason map, how you think it's more accurate, because I've kind of questioned it. Like I've seen different, flat Earth maps, and some are very different than others. But
Yeah,
yeah.
so the Gleason's map, let me just show you an example of a emergency flight that had to land. If I could find it, here we go. So here's the globe shot from Taiwan to LA, and Hawaii is right out here. And there was some emergency, somebody was having a medical issue, whatever it was, and they could have landed here. They could have gone to LA, but instead they went all the way up to Alaska. And if we look at this on, the standard flat Earth map, Taiwan, emergency, Alaska, Hawaii's all the way out here, right?
Mhm.
So on the globe, traveling from one southern location to another doesn't make any sense. They take these crazy routes way out of way. So, like for example, this is going from Perth to Santiago. This is what they'll show you on the screen, and this is what they'll tell you that the plane is going. This is the shortest route on a globe, but we can't fly over Antarctica because we'll disturb the penguins. All right. Right. So maybe, how about just go around there? That would be the quickest route. But this is the actual route. They go two different ways. They go from Perth to the West Coast here. Sometimes they make 2 stops. Then they go over to Sydney and across, or they go here to Europe, Singapore, and Perth. This makes no sense on a globe. No sense whatsoever. But these are the routes that they take.
Huh. You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting because that seems to be the biggest argument against flat Earth is the flight routes, and it's not
How
like you
so?
can you can't look and verify yourself because a lot of flights are being canceled. And like I tried to look myself and tried to book a flight from Australia to South America, and there was no existing flights at all.
Well, so there are existing flights, but there's a lot of fake flights. There's a lot of flights that are
Mhm.
canceled. There's a lot of flights that are so overpriced that nobody signs up on them, and they don't exist. But there is a flight from, we were like didn't believe that the flight existed, but then we saw it. We're hearing testimony. We're like, maybe it does exist, and so we talked to Max Egan. I don't know if you know who he is. He hates flat Earth, or he hated flat Earth. And he said, I'm taking that flight. Let's do a live stream and I'll prove to you that the flight exists. And we're like, right on. So we did a live stream, and Max showed us he's at the airport. He boarded the plane. He showed us where he was. He proved he was on the plane. The plane took off. Then he shuts his phone off. We tracked the plane, and they're showing us some, ridiculous path like this. Max was taking compass readings on his flight, and he should have been going south, southwest, but he found out he was going north, northwest, then west, and then, southwest, and then south, which didn't make a lot of sense to him. But here's the flight. All these green lines are southwest, then right there is west, and then as soon as you pass west, you're going southwest and then south. And we charted that on a Gleason's map, and it makes perfect friggin' sense. It's a straight line. They want you to believe that he went all the way around here, which would have been southwest, west, but these compass readings that he took verify the route that he took, the route that he went. And he wasn't a flat earther. He was an anti-flat earther at that time.
Right. So do we have testimony from like airline pilots and military pilots and stuff about these sort of routes?
Tons. And we interviewed a KLM pilot, and she was fired the next day, grounded because they sent her to psychiatric. The pilots, Qantas pilots, tell us that they talk about it amongst themselves all the time, but they can't talk about it publicly because they want to keep their jobs. Let me just show you, for those of you that don't know what how this works, is at the center of the flat Earth we have the magnetic north, and I'm pushing this compass west. West is a circle because I have to keep that needle pointing towards the center. West is a circle. It's not a straight line. Every straight line is south. I'll explain that in a second. Now I'm pushing it east. And if I want to maintain a heading of east, I have to keep correcting to the north. But these corrections are so minor that you wouldn't even notice them. If you were on a track 500 miles around, you would think you're going in a straight line. And now I'm going to dead reckon west, and immediately I'm going south. If I don't correct to the north, I'm heading south. Every direction, every straight line is south. If west was this way, if I point that way, I'm pointing south, because west is a circle, or east. East is a circle around. That's south. That's south. That's south. Every direction is south. If I'm going from here, if I'm going this way, I'm going north, but as soon as I pass the north, I'm going south. That's now south. South is every direction away. That was going north, and now it passed North Pole, and it's going south. Every
so you don't believe
line
that
goes south. Go ahead.
So if we're going south from, New York to, I don't know, Argentina or something like that, you don't have to account for the movement of the Earth. Say that gravity holds us in line when we go south. Gravity holds us in line. So when there's no,
there's no slippage. A sniper, they tell us, has to account for the spin of the Earth, which is the dumbest thing ever. No snipers account for the spin of the Earth. There's one video, if you type in Coriolis effect, this guy will say, I have to calculate for the spin of the Earth. So you're a sniper, and you got, your target in line. And you go, okay, I got him right in my scope. He's right on the friggin' X. Okay. And then what I do, I say, all right, I'm going to have to move it to the left and hook that bullet around. Okay. Dumbest thing ever. When you're shooting in the distance, you account for drop, you account for wind, but you don't account for the spin of the earth. Okay. Dumbest thing ever. Hot air balloons go up and they don't account for Coriolis. Okay. But a sniper does. So here's a question for you. What about a sniper on a hot air balloon? Does he have to account for Coriolis?
No, I think it would just have to account for the distance and wind.
Right. It's the dumbest thing ever. Think about this. If you're sitting here on the equator on a point in the ground, you're moving 1,000 miles an hour because the earth is spinning 24,000 miles around. It takes one day to go around. You're going about 1,000 miles an hour. Okay. You with me?
Yeah.
So you're moving relative to a point in space at 1,000 miles an hour. If I was 1 mile from the North Pole, I still go around once a day, but I'm making a much smaller circle. How fast am I going? Well, it's 3.14 miles is the distance I'm traveling in 24 hours. So I'm going well under 1 mile per hour. Okay. I'm going like an eighth of a mile per hour, whatever it is. Okay. You with me?
Yeah.
So if I'm sitting on a runway 1 mile from the North Pole and I take off and I fly to Ecuador and I want to land on a north-south runway that's moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour, how do I do that? Say gravity.
I've heard this before, and I don't remember.
Say gravity. It's your only option. It's the dumbest thing ever. It's the dumbest thing ever. Okay, you can't land on a spinning ball. Airplane, not air globe, right? You can't account for that speed. You can't.
Yeah. I've also noticed there's a lot of word trickery, like outer space and extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
And,
well, they always tell us
that there's
right. This is extra territory in the outer space. We live in the inner space. This is a giant pond. These are islands in the pond. Right. And so if somebody lived out here, they'd be an extraterrestrial from the outer space. They could fly in, abduct you, probe you, and make it back in time for dinner with their family. Okay.
Yeah. So what do you think of the whole moon reflection of the Earth?
That thing. You watching Ewar?
Yeah. That was mind blowing.
So yeah, well, don't eat it all up. Don't just believe it. I don't know if the moon's reflection, if the patterns on the moon are the map of the Earth. They could be. There's a lot of similarities, like too many. But again, you can make shapes out of whatever you want. Your mind can do stuff, but there's so many things. But we don't have a real map of the Earth, so how do we know what it really looks like? How do we know? Does it really look like this? Maybe this is just a natural pattern that happens in nature, and we that, like the, how everything is, what's the flower, not the flower of life, the Fibonacci sequence, the Fibonacci pattern, right? Is it Fibonacci or, whatever. I think it's Fibonacci. Maybe these are just natural patterns and it resembles the Earth. But I like the idea that good.
No, I was just going to say that's a whole other rabbit hole.
It's huge. It's huge. But one thing that I do kind of like, imagine you put your zodiacs, your signs, all around here. So you got your 12 zodiac signs. And this, if you can see this outer circle here, this is the shoreline of our world pond. And so everything beyond that shoreline, we call Antarctica, but we don't know what's there because no one's allowed to go there. And let's say that our magnetic center is right here, and our magnetic center is following this magnetic line, and it goes around every great year. Every great year is like 25,000 years. So every 2,160 years, it moves into another sign. Like we're going into Aquarius, right? It's the dawning of the age of Aquarius right now. And so this puddle, everything in the known world in the green here, is moving. The land doesn't move, the puddle moves. So in 5,000 years, the puddle is going to be over here. Okay. And there'll be an ice age going on here. This will be an ice age.
So
You have to wait for it to come all the way around for us to remelt. Then that explains mud floods. That explains a lot of things. Good.
so that kind of makes a little bit of sense if you consider, how scientists say that the magnetic North Pole is moving, that if the sun's trajectory around the plane is also shifting, that we would have ice melting and icebergs breaking off because
Right.
it is moving.
Sure.
Interesting.
It's interesting. And again, these are things that we can have discussions on. But, whether you believe that the Earth is an extended plane and we're a pond within that plane, which is my belief, or you believe that, that this is what's going on, or you believe that we have different suns circling in different radiuses with different worlds. All of this is interesting to discuss, but we all agree, and we can scientifically prove that the Earth is not a spinning ball flying to an infinite space vacuum. That's just ridiculous, right? A ball of gas so big, it has gravity that can hold on to a whole row of planets, but it can't affect their moons because the planets are holding them onto their own moons, but the sun doesn't affect the moon. It's the dumbest thing ever. Okay. I keep saying it's dumb. Well, it's super dumb. And then you have a gas ball in a vacuum. What happens when you put gas into a vacuum? It just equalizes everywhere. Okay.
Right. It spreads out.
Yeah. Crazy.
So I don't know if you recall me mentioning this before, but back in 2017, I picked up a JPL engineer from Pasadena, and he was going to the airport. And during our trip, we saw this giant light, and I kind of described it in the opening, but it looked like a giant wake. So if you ever gone boating and there's like the ripple of the boat that, and that's what we would go wakeboarding off of.
Waters above.
But that's what it looked like. And the two rockets that broke off, they were going outward, but they weren't going anywhere. They were just spinning in a circle. And I looked up and I go, "Oh, is that aliens?" And the engineer is like, "Oh no, that's SpaceX." And they just launched was it Falcon 9 or Snapdragon, one of the two. And he said, "Yeah, they just hit the firmament." And I'm like, "The firmament? What? Are you kidding?" And he's like, "No, I'm not kidding. We've never gone beyond lower Earth's orbit."
Right.
I'm like, "So that's real?" And and we had this whole conversation for about an hour and a half because driving through LA is like maddening on a Friday night or whatever night it was. And he went into more detail about the sun being closer and that it's like more electric and we really don't know because we've never gone that far. So it just kind of blew my mind, which opened the door to this like possibility that we can't really trust anything that the government says. I mean, I never really believed in the moon landing to begin with because there were just so many holes.
Let me show you. This is a SpaceX rocket that went up the other day. Okay. So first, the whole landing pad, the amount of thrust would just destroy everything on the ground. But look at this thing. It's floating up in the air. This little flame, this little natural gas flame is somehow pushing this thing up super slow. What's stabilizing it? Okay. And you could also see that it's not moving very fast. Now, first, they keep switching between the onboard camera and the ground camera. Look at the angle. Look how low this thing is. Now look how high it is, right? To get this side view, it would have to be far, far away. Now this thing is falling. Now this thing weighs probably 40 tons, maybe more. It's falling out of the sky. But look at the smoke coming off of it. It's barely moving. This is just like it's not moving. Whether this is CGI,
turned off the burner.
Yeah, well, what doesn't matter. Just watching that. Look how high it is now, and then now look at it. And this thing is falling, free falling. This is free falling, and now look how high it is all of a sudden. And you can tell how fast it's moving by the smoke coming off of it. It's barely moving. Okay, and so this thing's falling down now. Now I say this is CGI. This isn't even a helium rocket. What they're showing us. How did the camera get underneath it? Two of the three burners are going to go out. Watch. And now look at this. This little smoke and fire. This is just a light show. And watch all the smoke. What did they forget to dust off the runway? Okay, this is CGI smoke. This is just fake. And then look at it, it's landing at an angle, but didn't fall over, right? This is touted as real. Okay. People believe this thing just took off and landed right where it
Wait,
took
that
off from.
didn't blow up?
No.
It looked like a quarter of it was past the landing pad.
Yeah.
That
Again,
didn't look real at
it's
all.
the dumbest. Again, they're mocking us by showing this stuff, and people just believe it. Here, China landed on Mars. This is the only proof that we have that China landed on Mars. Notice the shadow when it comes down. Look at this ridiculous shadow also. That's proof that we landed on Mars.
That looked like the same CGI that we see in like the Godzilla movies.
Cartman and Kyle are laughing at that. It's ridiculous. Right, but they're
Oh my
clapping.
goodness.
It's more convincing now. And this part gets me. They're hugging. How can they fake that?
Well, the hugging just signifies that it is real.
Yes,
It's like
it is.
how could all those guys agree to deceive the world?
Well, that's the
How
other
could
thing.
they?
How can so many people keep the secret? There's not that many people keeping the secret. Those are a few actors right there. I don't even know if that's from China. It might be done here in Hollywood. Okay. All of the division of countries, it's all made up. China, Russia, the United States, we're not at war with each other. It's all made up. It's the ruling families that are running this world are in charge. There's these groups that run the world. This is how the world is run. We are just slaves within this in this system, and they put us in a prison. That prison is a prison for our mind. It's the globe.
Well, that's what gets me about like the whole Antarctica treaty and how we had all these countries who were supposedly at in a Cold War with, and yet in 1959 we agreed with Russia to secure the border or the 60th parallel of Antarctica, and nobody is allowed there because of some environmental treaty.
Well, we
And
don't want to disturb the ice and the penguins. The penguins.
do
What about
we
the
really
penguins?
think that Russia gave a crap about the penguins in
In
Russia? I mean, in
1959, when they
Antarctica?
came up with the treaty, the word environmentalism wasn't even a word. We were raping the world, fighting for resources. Admiral Byrd flies out there and says there's a world bigger than the United States with unlimited resources that no one has ever set eyes upon. And then all of a sudden we do the treaty. All of a sudden he dies. And now all these countries have signed on to it. Then they're sending bombs up, trying to blow a hole in something. Wonder what's going on there. Right?
Interesting.
Yeah, these are the 6 missions to put us in a prison for our mind.
Yeah, if you look at his Admiral Byrd's son, he tried to go to Washington, D.C. to honor his father's memory because they were going to build some kind of monument or something like that. And he took a train from, I think he was from Connecticut or something like that. But his wife said that he got on the train and he ended up in Ohio, I think it was, and they found him dead. Like he
I
was
didn't
like
even know that.
homeless. Yeah. And so there's like a huge mystery. And the article stated that he was going to try to get a hold of his memoirs because I guess the military wouldn't allow him access to his memoirs. So he wanted to go to the Smithsonian where they were going to honor his, his life. And they basically prevented him from reaching there. So
Fascinating.
yeah.
Fascinating. There's so much. What else you got?
Let's see. What about the Mars landing?
Real quick, Admiral Byrd was being interviewed. Got a world clock behind him with a flat Earth map. Interesting.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
I did not ever see that.
Yeah.
I've looked at a lot of stuff over this past year. I mean, the first 3 months that I even considered that maybe the world was not what it seemed, I didn't sleep for 3 months. As soon as I discovered,
welcome to flat Earth. I haven't slept in 6 years.
As soon as I discovered, I discovered, Jeranism and then Glowbusters and then Eric Dubay, and it just kept me busy. I mean, there were 6 years worth of, information and videos, and I even found a thesis that was written this woman out of the Middle East, and it was published, and you can find it on archive archive.org or something like that. But apparently she didn't get her doctorate because of this whole thesis. So I find that very interesting that she, basically kind of proved through medical, I mean, not medical, but scientific research that the Earth is indeed flat and
Yeah.
stationary. I don't think she proved that it was flat, but she proved that the Earth wasn't moving.
Well, so what I'm showing you here, this is the only proof that we have landed a rover on Mars. This is what they wheeled into classrooms for kids to see. Again, Cartman and Kenny and Kyle are laughing. Okay.
Cartman.
This parachute works with a 1% of the Earth's atmosphere. Okay. That's ridiculous. A parachute won't open here at 50,000 feet. This is equivalent to like 150,000 feet. We can't even get helium balloons up that high. Okay. So this is the only proof that we have. All right. And this is what they
Wow.
are applauding. Now, the Globers will go, well, it's an animation because, they can't get it back in real time, And so my question is, if it's an animation, what happens if the data said that it crashed? Do you have an animation of it crashing? I'd like to see that. And instead, they show this tension. It landed. I don't know what that friggin' box is, but this is what they showed. This is what they showed, right? And then you have all these people, fresh out of space camp, most of them, staring at monitors, reading data. We even had a NASA person that worked in one of these control
There's
rooms.
the proof.
Yeah, there's
They're
the proof.
cheering.
They're high-fiving right there. And they said that they do so many simulations that are so good that they can't tell the difference between a simulation and the real event. Wonder why that is.
I guess if that's the only thing you ever see, and you just have to
Right. It's a
trust what you're
simulation. You're
saying.
just being fed data. You mentioned something about a satellite that owned by a university. Was that you?
Yeah, I think it's Ohio University who owns a satellite, and anytime they want to see live footage, they have to go through NASA, and it takes a couple of weeks before they even get to see the data because
Right.
NASA has to interpret the data.
Yeah, it's people believe that satellites are up there taking pictures. One of them is the Himawari 8 satellite, the Japanese satellite that takes a picture of the Earth every 15 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
And it has the weather patterns on it. Okay. Well, we found if we didn't hack it, it was an open server at NASA where there was tens of thousands of file folders about the Himawari 8. And we found that what they are is, it was the blue marble flat map. Then they wrap it on a sphere. Then they add some topography. And then they take radar map of the world and they wrap the current weather onto it. It's just done in Photoshop. And then they put the dark and light Terminator line is, but we saw the images showing all of the clouds all the way around. And then the image they show us, half the world is dark. Well, how did they see the clouds if the world was dark? And we 100% proved that this is fake. We showed you how they did it, what they're going, and people still don't care. People are like, what about the Himawari 8? I'm like, I just showed you a video exposing the entire thing. It's like, well, some people aren't ready to wake up.
Right.
I mean, satellites are balloons. NASA owns almost all of the helium companies in the world, and they're the largest consumer of helium. They put up tens of thousands of these things on balloons. Some of the balloons are bigger than football stadiums.
Wow.
Yeah, and these things have come crashing down all over the world. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I actually saw the contract. I think it was in 2013, which showed that NASA consumes like 94% of the world's helium.
Well, 94% of the world's helium that they want us to know. They don't want us to know that helium is abundant and it's infinite. And they demonized lighter than air gases with the Hindenburg, made hydrogen. Oh, it's so dangerous. It's explosions. They linked it to the hydrogen bomb, and people are like, okay, we can't use hydrogen. Well, now there's not enough helium. They don't want companies starting independent dirigible, large airship companies. Because if you have a large airship, a solar panel and a fan, some food, you can travel anywhere you want and not worry about fuel, right? So they don't want people doing that. So they've limited our access to helium. Helium is infinite in source.
So the space shuttle, that big red tank that supposedly was full of fuel, do you think that was just full of helium?
It is. This is the tank falling back to Earth. The guys on the shuttle that are going into space, going over 17,000 miles an hour, are filming this thing. They're going up. This thing is free falling. It's over 40,000 pounds. Watch right here. A little handkerchief is going to blow by, which will give you a relative idea how fast this thing is moving. There it goes. Right. So it's barely moving. Okay. And they're filming this thing. They're going up. This is falling. This is 40,000 pounds empty. It's falling. How are they filming this? This is a blimp.
I don't know. You would think that it would just be burning up from the atmosphere because
it's supposed to burn up before it gets to the clouds. It's supposed to completely atomize. Those clouds are not that far away. Here's the question. Is this being filmed from above or from below? You don't know because you have nothing to reference it to. Right? Like, they show us clips from the space station like this. Where's the land? And the glober would go, well, it's over the ocean. You can't see the land. Well, this is how easy it is to be fooled. That looks like the globe Earth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's actually the sky looking from our front yard. Okay?
Wow.
That's how easy it is to convince them. I can see, when you look at that, you see a globe. You see the curve in your imagination.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, anytime I watch the 24-hour live feed on the ISS, because
there's no 24-hour live feed. It's a 24-hour loop of the same 17 minutes.
Yeah, I did notice that my students had pointed out, like, oh, we just saw that because these astronauts were just kind of like switching cables from place to place, and we watched them for 15 minutes not doing a single thing. And I was like, what are they doing?
And watch an 8-hour spacewalk to go out and fix something, and they basically have a big wrench and they tighten one nut, and that's what they fix it with. Okay, right? The International Fake Station, I like to call it, is the biggest joke ever. It is the most complicated technological vehicle that was ever built. It was never assembled on Earth. They didn't build it, assemble it, make sure it works, make sure everything screws together properly. They didn't. They even had other countries making parts. So you got a US part and got two parts, two different countries. Well, somehow they didn't have the same plans and they didn't make the adapters. So they had to make an adapter. So a third company had to make this friggin' adapter to connect the two parts, right? Never tested it on Earth. Built it in space. Now, mission control would need to be supervising this entire thing. There's not a single photo or video of it being built when it would be the most filmed construction project in history. There's nothing. There's none of it being built.
You would think there would be hours and hours and hours of footage of them building and putting this together. Because, I mean, that is you're making history.
And they have all of these vital things on the outside. Think about a submarine. How much mechanics are on the outside? Zero. Okay. Everything's on the inside, right? The harshness of space is insanity. You have swings in temperature every 90 minutes of over 500 degrees, right? I can tell you that solar panels would not last a day in those conditions. All right. These solar panels couldn't generate a fraction of the energy that they need to run the coolers and the air conditioner, and just the air conditioning alone and the heating. These solar panels couldn't do it.
It's like watching a transformer.
This is a cartoon that the cartoons are how they control our minds. I mean, check this woman out. This is a ball filled with helium, so it kind of floats. It's real. This is not real. Okay, this is augmented reality. I'll show you again. Nothing's there.
What?
They beamed it in. This is when they're talking to kids. This is a real object. It's a ball, right? I'll show you again. It's a ball that has just the right amount of helium in it so it floats, so she can actually play with it. It doesn't float perfectly. She has to kind of hold on to it because it will fall. And this thing, they even put a little beaming thing and they made a beaming noise. They're just they're
They're actors.
hypnotizing people. They're mocking us. It's called augmented reality. This is how they do it. She's seeing stuff either in contact lenses or something behind the camera, and she's watching it and she's manipulating fake objects in real time.
And the way that they speak to the public, they act as if they're just speaking to children. I mean, there's
Right.
nothing scientific. You never see them actually doing any kind of
We're doing
experiments.
science. What are you doing up there? We're doing science. We have a very busy day. We're doing science. Lots of science. Well, you know, lots of science. What science? Well, they grew lettuce. Didn't you do that 10 years ago? You know,
Doing
it's
flips.
yeah, flips and playing with water. They're playing with water. Water is going all over the place, and there's power things all over the place. It is insane. And then all of the women have long hair. They don't even let women with long hair, fly in jets. I don't think.
Right.
In their long hair is flipping all over the place. It's hairsprayed, right? This is on a 0G plane. It's actually not the one I wanted to show you, but that's all right. We'll just go with this. And
I was just about to ask you, how do they fake these, anti-gravity scenes?
yeah, so one way is the short scenes are done on a 0G plane. 0G plane does this parabolic arc. You get about 45 seconds of weightlessness. But one time they were doing a live thing on the morning news, like, we're going to have satellite coverage for like 45 seconds. And they were talking to these guys, and all of a sudden they all slammed into the wall, and they cut away, and they're like, oh, the space station hit a pocket of gravity or had a catastrophic switch. I think they said a catastrophic switch in its orbit, and they all crashed. But if you watch, I turned it sideways and compared it to the end of a 0G flight, and it's the same thing. And this guy here, he catches two objects with one hand like he's done it a million times. Okay. This is the end of a parabolic arc, and the end came like 10 seconds before it was supposed to. And so while they were doing their stuff, they all fell. And then they cut away,
Wow.
made up some dumb excuse. Yeah.
So
And other
what is
times
your
they're
take
hanging from
on
wires.
why?
But go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead. Good.
All this deception, like why would they even carry this out and continue it? And why is it so important to, have this like giant lie? I mean, obviously there's multiple countries that are in on it together, but why?
Countries, division of countries is a made up thing. We're all one. Tataria was a worldwide civilization here just over 100 years ago. And then there was some sort of reset that happened, some great reset. Watch out for that. They can be hiding free energy, hiding creator, hiding spirituality, hiding more land, more resources, scientific knowledge, what's in Antarctica, hide that you are at the center of the universe, hide that you're special, that we have a free will. They don't want us to know that our thoughts create our reality. They want us to bow down and pay attention to them. All of the restrictions that are going on in the world right now, if everyone woke up tomorrow and said, nope, I'm ignoring the government, anything you say, I'm not listening to, we wouldn't even hear them anymore. They'd be done. Right. But they want us to believe that a free society would turn into chaos. They tell us stories that, they tried to create a utopia, but then everyone ended up killing each other. That's nonsense. That's what they're trying to get us to do. Well, I don't ever watch the news. Once a year, I'll turn it on for 5 minutes, and it's killings and it's just nonsense, car crash, whatever. They want you in fear. Every other day, NASA says, oh, an asteroid just missed us. Another one just missed us. We didn't even see this one, and it whizzed by. It was the size of a tractor trailer. They want us living in fear. They want us not using our potential. They've dumbed us down with all sorts of things, fluoride and poisons and this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
the vacation.
Yeah, the vacation. So, why the lie? This is the most important lie they have, because I'll tell you, everyone that's woken up to flat Earth is unplugged from the matrix. They've stopped feeding the fear into the system, and they've freed their lives. My life has changed amazingly since I woke up. I've never been bored for a second. If I get insomnia at like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, all right, I got 5 hours before I have to talk to anybody. This is awesome, right? You're never bored. You're never bored because there's so much. This world is an amazing, amazing place. Have you
So
seen this?
how is
Good.
sorry, but
No, good.
how was your transformation? I mean, obviously you didn't believe the world was flat your entire life. So what changed your mind? I mean, what
I was forced to look at it because I was doing a conspiracy podcast, and we're looking into all the conspiracies, the Connecticut one, the New York one, the Boston one, exposing the crap out of them. And people say, hey, Dave, have you ever looked at the flat earth? Check out this video. Delete. You're banned from our social media and you can never come back because you're too stupid, okay, to even suggest that I watch your stupid video about flat earth. But then I had a friend who it's like, Dave, I think the earth is flat. And I'm like, not you too, Sophia. Sophia Smallstorm. And she said, here, watch this video. And she sent me Mark Sargent's Clues, I think, and Eric Dubay's 200 Proofs. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to debunk this. I'm going to do a little research. And for 2 weeks, I tried everything I could to disprove flat earth and prove the globe. And at the end of that, I came out the other side going, wow. And then everything has just gotten, more, you start to see more and more from there. How can you figure out anything if you think you're spinning out of control, moving all those directions in once in an infinite space vacuum versus you're at the center of the universe on solid foundation, not moving.
Yeah.
Where everything in the heavens above is spinning above you and they're not what you think they are.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
they want us believing that we're a speck of dust and we're
Right.
insignificant, just bugs.
Here's this is the National Buoyancy Lab. They got the space station underwater where they do all their training. They do all their training in a space where all the water is trying to get in your suit versus space where all the air is trying to get out of your suit. Okay, makes no sense. But up here on the wall, they have this picture of a Vitruvian man in with a scuba diver handing him a power tool and a rocket trying to break through the dome. Okay.
Interesting.
What the, in our faces. Let me show your listeners. I'm sure you know about how seasons work. Do you know about seasons?
We have them.
Well, they make no sense on a globe. They make no sense whatsoever. So this is my app. Are you familiar with my app?
I sure do.
Okay, it's the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. And I'm just going to explain seasons for those of you that are listening that don't know. The sky is a perfect clock, which is impossible in a heliocentric beehive solar system, which would never work. The sun goes around once every 24 hours. It keeps track of the hours and the days. It laps the moon once every 28 days. So the moon, its phase, its position, keep track of the weeks and the months or the months. And the reason the sun isn't attached to the hour hand right now is because they're throwing off our body clock by telling us it's an hour later than it is. But the sun always tells the time. Okay. So I'll slow it down, turn on the stars. The stars spin around just slightly faster than the sun. And that means, so they lap the sun once a year. So each month, the next zodiac will catch up to the sun and the sun will work its way through the zodiac. We're almost into the Tropic of Cancer, which will be coming up later this month. So the Tropic of Cancer is this inner yellow line. All right. So if I turn on the zodiac, I have to jump. Hold on. If I turn the zodiac on right now, it's not there yet. If I have to jump 1 month forward, there. So in July, the sun will be in the Tropic of Cancer because that's when the sun is in the Tropic of Cancer. And then opposed 6 months later, this is the Tropic of Capricorn, right? So if I jump the sun 6 months forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're in December. It's out over the Tropic of Capricorn. Australia is having its summer because the sun is high, goes over their heads. We're having our winter in the north because the sun is farther away. It's farther away. And if I turn on the tropics, you'll see that the sun is in Capricorn, right?
Yeah.
Actually,
Interesting.
I actually have to go one more month. Now it's in Capricorn, which is opposed to the Tropic of Cancer. So that's how seasons work. Seasons only make sense on a flat Earth. The whole tilted idea makes no sense because at sunrise, it should be freezing in June here in the north because the sun is at the lowest angle possible. And according to the helio nonsensical BS model, it's 3.5 million miles farther away in our summer, which some people just can't even fathom that. Real quick on the app, and then I'm going to jump out. I'm offering 2 Bitcoins for anybody that can supply 1 proof of the globe, but you have to take the challenge. Every day there's a new featured video here. Watch the video every day for 2 weeks. If you think the Earth is a globe after that, which you won't, send me your proof. But before you do, you have to hit the question mark, and up come all of the questions you're going to ask. You know, what about are all pilots and scientists in on it? If I hit that one, up comes a playlist of videos. Where is it? Up comes a playlist of videos that YouTube will not show you. These are videos, testimonies, all sorts of stuff, proving that even a Polish astronaut that admitted that the Earth was flat in an interview last year.
Wow.
So these are videos that you will not find easily on YouTube. Also have tons of other stuff, mud floods, bottom right, biblical flat Earth, debunking the shill debunkers. All the interviews will be here. Your interview will be right up here. Click that, and you'll see
Cool.
lots of interviews I've done. Books, great book here. 16 emergency landings that prove flat Earth. Tons of stuff, adding new stuff all the time. So it's a great resource to find stuff like that. Playlists in different languages. Some stuff that we like here. You can check it out or not. And our t-shirts, of course. Don't forget our t-shirts, top left. If you want to flat smack somebody, the t-shirts are awesome. Also, it's got resources like tons of images. You know, hey, we went to the moon in this thing made out of paper mache and tinfoil and curtain rods.
Yeah, that looks ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And then
Like,
this thing took
who
off
in
and
their
met
right
with the
mind?
orbiter afterwards.
Who in their
Right?
right mind would believe this?
Most of the world.
And
Most of the
in
world.
that dune buggy, where did they store that dune buggy?
Oh my God. The whole doom buggy doesn't even, they say it folded up and it's got rubber tires on it. How do you have rubber tires that don't explode in space? Right.
Right.
Again, so much stuff in here. Here's Pluto. Right? This is the picture of Pluto. Why does it have a desert, if that's what it is, that looks like Pluto? It's because they're mocking us.
Yeah.
So tons of stuff there, adding new stuff all the time. This is one I like. This is the wind maps. I'll set it for 40,000 feet. This is what the actual trade winds look like. Okay, the pink and white area, those winds are going like 200 miles an hour. What happened?
Well, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. And check this out. They're outrunning the spin of the Earth. The Earth is spinning to the east, but those winds are outrunning the spin of the Earth. That's insanity. Here's a compass. This is how a compass works. Right? East and west are circles. Go ahead.
So you know that it's noon when the sun is directly over your head.
Correct.
So do you think they created the whole daylight savings to throw people off?
It's to throw off our body clocks. We are part of this Earth. We are part of the Earth system. I don't believe people can live, high up in the air. I don't believe that. We need to be connected. We're electrical beings. This is an electrical world. And where's my point again? What was your question? I'm sorry.
Oh, it just about the daylight savings, but I think you're getting into the whole.
Yeah, no. The daylight savings is literally to throw us off. It's to throw our body clocks off. Daylight savings is the dumbest thing ever. They want the daylight savings. That's like, I'm cold on my quilt. It's not long enough. So I'm going to cut a foot off the bottom and I'm going to sew it onto the top. Okay.
Yeah.
To make my quilt longer. All right. It's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, that makes no
You know,
sense.
we're supposed to get up with the sun and go to sleep, you know, with the sunset.
And also they changed I guess are we on the Gregorian calendar where it originally was supposed to be 13
Yeah.
months and 28 days cycles
Right.
to follow the
They
moon.
hijacked the whole thing.
Yeah, it that also doesn't make any sense.
Nothing makes sense.
Uh,
Nothing makes
yeah.
sense. This
So
world,
what about planets?
planets. Um, they're plain. They added a little cross at the end, planet, right? There are no planets. It's, you know, yes, we see those lights in the sky, but I went out the other night and I saw Jupiter, bright as can be. How does a dusty, dirty ball 25 million miles away reflect sunlight and it's brighter than a star? Okay, you know, look at the planets. They're the brightest stars in the sky. How does it? How does a dusty, dirty ball, you know, like Mars? Mars is super bright in the sky. How does Mars, which is you know, supposedly this dusty, dirty ball, how's that reflecting light that's so bright? It looks like, you know,
Yeah.
an actual light. So that's impossible. So what are planets? Well, I don't know. But when you zoom in on them with today's consumer optics, we're seeing not a rocky planet. This is an energetic, maybe sentient energy here within the Earth system. They're all named after gods. Okay. So what's up with that? They used to be called wandering stars. Uh, you know, if you look at this is the star Sirius, doesn't look like a burning ball of hydrogen to me, right? Here's Capella, right? You can see this with your naked eye, actually. You know, that's why it looks like it's flickering. You know, this is what it kind of looks like without really zooming in. Um,
Well, you know
and
what it
if you,
looks like to me is like if you have a light in your pool and the waves are kind of waving around, that's what those lights look like.
yeah, it looks kind of looks like there's water up there, huh? Right? You
Mm-hmm.
look up star in a jar. It's where they take sound waves and they project them, focus them into a jar of water, and these little stars appear. They look like little mini suns in the water. So again,
So how
there's
are people
good.
taking photos of these planets?
People are taking photos like, but we're not seeing we're seeing lights, right? They kind of look spherical. Some of them. Saturn is pretty amazing, but you know, the most famous picture of Saturn, which you can't really see, it's its most famous picture. We took it off of NASA's website, cranked up the levels in Photoshop, and you could see that it was put together crappily before Photoshop was even a thing. Okay, it was put together in layers. But I've looked at Saturn and I kind of see I see this pattern, you know, this thing, but it's a light. It's not a, you know, how is the ring on Saturn is the same brightness as Saturn, and it's supposed to be a bunch of ice particles. You know, this is what NASA shows us. This is what we see. These are photos by
Right.
amateurs, right? But this is what
Through my
NASA shows us.
telescope, sorry,
Good.
through my telescope, the way that Saturn looks right there, that's how it appears in the telescope, and I
Right
can't get
here.
it any clearer.
Right here.
Right.
Yeah. And that's it. So what is it? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's pretty amazing, whatever it is, but it isn't a burning, you know, a rocky planet. I mean, the whole idea that the sun, this gas ball in a vacuum, that's a problem, is holding on to the Earth and Mercury and Jupiter and Mars and all, just holding on to all of them while they're all going around. They're all holding on to their moons, and the sun doesn't rip the moon away. When there's a planetary alignment, how come those combined gravities don't perturb orbits? Everything repeats.
Yeah.
Everything repeats all the time. The eclipses repeat every 18 years. There's an eclipse tomorrow, by the way. Big one. Where are you?
Oh yeah. I think you're supposed to be able to see it in the morning
At
if you're
sunrise
on the
here in
East
the
Coast.
Northeast, and it's supposedly, I think it's like 70%, which is bigger than the last one. I encourage
Wow.
anybody that has a telescope, a zoom lens, whatever, to focus on areas right outside the eclipse and look for what we call the second sun, which I believe is the source of the sun that we see. And you can only see it during an eclipse when the sun isn't as bright because it's being blocked. It's being eclipsed by something. Um, I'm planning on if it stays sunny, I'm gonna try to film it with some polarized lenses and all sorts of stuff and do a whole bunch of experiments.
Well, hopefully the sky is clear enough because it's been raining like every
Yeah.
3 days, and it's been raining the last two.
Well, we've been
It's
clear,
it's
but
been crazy how much.
it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so chance of rain. So we'll see. We will see.
All right. Yeah. So the moon, do we always see the same face of the moon? A lot of people tell me that there's other parts of the moon that we've seen. We've seen the dark side of the moon, and
Well, the backside
like
of the
my
moon,
father.
NASA showed us a ridiculous picture. There is no backside. Here's four moons. Which one is a sphere? Is this one a sphere? How about this one? Is this one a sphere? Is that a sphere?
They all look like they're spheres.
They all look like spheres, but are they?
Yeah. Probably
Flat.
not. Flat.
How about this one? Is this a sphere?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or is it a bowl? Okay. So my point is, when you're looking up in the sky, the optics of the sky are very deceiving. You know, the way our eyes see, are these tables the same shape and same dimensions?
No.
Wrong. Isn't that weird?
It's all an illusion.
It's all how our brains perceive things, because that's how we see things. That one freaks me out all the time.
Yeah,
Right?
I've been looking at the moon most of my life, and I've always only seen the same side.
No, you only see the same side, but NASA supposedly went around the backside, took some pictures, which is nonsense. It's complete. It's just, I mean, I could show you NASA's faking everything. You catch them faking one thing, that's enough. But here they are. Check out this lemon. This lemon isn't real. They supposedly got to deliver some fresh fruit. It's a CGI object, like I showed you before. Watch the hand goes right through it, and then they fade it out. The layering got screwed up. This quickly came down, but we downloaded it before they took it down. They make mistakes like this all the time. Like here, this guy in the background, I zoomed in on him. He just floated by. He's hanging from a wire, and the layer that's supposed to hide the harness didn't work. And we could see the harness in the wire.
Yeah, you could totally tell. You can see the harness.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Wow.
So you can unwind that too. We didn't go to the moon.
Yeah. Well, Dave, unless you can think of anything else that would
think of a ton more.
Sway me. God.
I'll give you one more.
Like
I'll give you one more. So Werner von Braun is the guy, the Nazi German scientist that they brought over to run NASA. I believe, in Project Paperclip. I believe that's just a story. I believe he's an actor from Hollywood. And he ran NASA. On his gravestone, he wrote Psalms 19:1, the heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Well, he's talking about the dome. Why would a rocket scientist be talking about a dome? Again, is this a deathbed? Is this a confession, or is this put out there for us to see just to mock us more? But more importantly, in 1950 something, he wrote a book called Project Mars, and about a group of people that went to Mars, where the leader of that group was named Elon. Right?
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Come on. And this is the rocket that Elon Musk is planning on taking people to Mars. And a month ago, he tweeted, I want to redesign it, make it pointier. Okay. Elon Musk is a total fraud. Everyone check out on, you can probably find it on BitChute, Greg Reese. Type Greg Reese, Elon Musk, and check out his short video exposing Elon for all of the fraud of everything from Tesla Motors to the Solar City to everything. All of them. He is just a front man. He lies about everything.
Yeah. I just watched something about his upbringing, how he came from a poor family, and
untrue. That might be the video where he's selling rubies on the street in New York City for cash.
Wow. Ever since 9/11, I just been looking at everything because I haven't trusted our government in quite some time, and
Yeah.
this doesn't really surprise me
If you want a deep
that this
rabbit
is.
hole, go to stoplookthink.com. Click the hoaxes tab at the top or just click any of the buttons on the bottom. Stoplookthink.com. All of the stuff that used to be on YouTube that they've removed is there. And you could find the stuff about the New York event, about the Connecticut event, the marathon event, and all of the other events, Florida, Vegas, um, and everything else, including Flat Earth and other things.
Yeah, it's amazing you can't find any of that information, and it's just to keep everybody in the dark. And you
Stoplookthink.com
know, yeah,
while it lasts. And I'll and my website is theflatearthpodcast.com. My podcast, theflatearthpodcast.com. My Instagram, theflatearthpodcast.com. And my YouTube channel, not theflatearthpodcast.com. It's DITRH. It's just the initials for deep inside the rabbit hole. And that's where you can find me. And also the app, Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Google Play, you need for your Android phone, operating system 8.0 or higher. And iPhone, you need an iPhone 6 or better. The app is $2.99 in America, and it's the highest rated app in both stores. It's people love it.
I
Just
got
read
it
the
right
reviews.
here.
There it is. There it is. There it is.
That's $2.99 I've ever spent.
And do you set your notification so you actually could read the notification, or just say notification?
I read the notifications. I get them in my
You get
email,
it. So
and then
yeah, a lot of people have it. So it only shows a preview, and when you tap it, that's it. It's gone, and it just takes you to the app. The notification every day just tells you what the featured video of the day is, or if a special event is happening, it might notify you. And people love it.
nice.
Yeah. So
Well,
good.
no, I was going to say thank you so much for coming on the show. I mean, I just really honored to have you on our first episode, and if you have anything else you wanted to throw out there.
Don't believe anything I say. Go research it yourself. But if you want to find the things
Definitely.
to research, don't watch a YouTube video and go, oh, now I believe it. Watch the YouTube video and go, all right, that looked pretty good. Let me go test it myself. And that's what I did. I started testing things, and we've done a lot of the work for you. And you can see that it's legit because we document everything we're doing. But check it out. And then once you find out where you live, who you are, the true power that you have, everything changes for you. You literally start manifesting things better. The reason with the situation that we're in right now in this world, I think they wanted it to go a little bit faster, but I think we forced them to start early. That's a whole nother thing. But they can't do it until we agree. Like, they wanted to do all these wars in the Middle East, but they couldn't do it until we all pounded the war drums. So the New York City event happened. Everyone pounded the war drums, including me, and they got their endless wars that they want. They got all of this stuff going on. So again, we are in control. It's the idea in your mind that they're in control. That's the problem. The problem is our problem. We need to stop believing that they have control over us and take it back. And it could happen instantly. And the reason I push this flat earth stuff is because I don't know any flat earthers that have not unplugged from the fear matrix and have not stopped giving them what they want. So when you wake up to, I woke people up to those 3 events I talked about, and I called it exposing the big 3, but people just go back to work. When you wake up to flat earth, there's no turning back. You think about it every day. It affects you everywhere, every day. So, wake up your friends. If you're already a flat earther, gift the app to your friend and start like a book club. Say, hey, we've only been talking about sports and weather and stupid shit. Why don't we every day we'll watch the video, and then we'll when we hang out, we'll talk about the video of the day, and you'll never run out of things to talk about. It's fun that way. So again, if you're a flat earther, nothing's better than waking up a family member or a close friend to flat earth. And the easiest way to do it is with the app. And I'm not saying that because it's my app. It's just the easiest way to do it, thanks to YouTube and their censorship.
Yeah. I've contemplated talking about this subject for quite a while. Like, when I had last year's season, I wanted to bring it up, but I didn't feel that people were ready to hear. I just thought there was going to be a lot of ridicule. I'm sure there's going to be trolls or just going to
Oh yeah,
you know,
that's another thing.
demolish me.
I have a series of trolls that will follow me to your channel. They will reply to almost everyone's comment and saying stupid stuff, but they never
Yeah.
offer a flat Earth proof. No, I mean a globe proof. They never offer a single globe proof. And if you go look at their channels, I call their channels the comprehensive globe proof channels because they have zero content. Okay. And so they'll
Okay.
be there. This Jose character, and I can't remember their names, but just you'll see that they have no content. And I basically just say, is that your best flat Earth proof? You know, Dave's a scammer.
They don't.
Is that your best flat Earth globe proof? I keep reversing it.
They don't offer anything except insults.
Yeah,
and they're
nothing.
not that creative.
Yeah, they're the worst. So in closing, don't let them control your mind with cartoons. Okay. Because that's what they do. They control our minds with cartoons because they think we're kids, and it works on lots of people.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you Google, planet Earth, you get pictures from different countries, and they all look different. Nothing looks the same. Everything's out of proportion.
Right.
And they even admit that these pictures are just composite images. They're not, they're not a single shot from a distance.
Right.
Not a single one.
They're complete, they're complete garbage. And even their dimensions don't work. We can measure this. There should be able to fit 8.5 of these in between what they tell us the diameter is, and 8.5 doesn't even fit here. Okay. All of those should fit in between here. If they tell us that this is the diameter and this is the, we can verify this distance. Well, I just verified that distance. So that's 934 miles. I should be able to fit 8.5 of them in between these two lines. I could fit what, 3.5? Wow. Painting. That's a painting.
Yep. Wow. Well, that's definitely something to think about for all you guys out there listening and watching, and because we're going to have this on 18 different podcasts, and hopefully we'll get on even more channels. So, because I'm sure, someone's going to take this down.
No, what's funny is they're not taking it down. They're allowing it. As long as we didn't talk deeply about those other topics, they're allowing this to go. They're just not going to promote it, but plenty of people will find it because people are searching properly, and they'll find it. So
yeah, it's that's the thing about this topic is that it's really hard to find good hard factual information because it's so buried. Yeah. Like you really literally have to go to DuckDuckGo. And then even then, they're still bearing it. It's just not as hard.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there you go. Dave, maybe all that will change. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's such an honor to have you on the show. And like I said, I'm glad it was our first episode. And we'll look forward to maybe we'll have you on again or
yeah,
No
problem. Reach out. Take the Flat Earth app challenge. If you think it's stupid, come collect your 2 Bitcoins. Okay. Come collect them.
That's like 120,000.
No, well,
probably more.
It's I think it's under 100, but it'll be more. I mean, it's going to go up even more. 2 Bitcoins. You know what? For your audience, wow. 3 Bitcoins. Okay. Just for your audience.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. You have to refer. You have to make sure you mention this podcast and you get 3 Bitcoins, but don't send me. If you send me something that's in the frequently asked questions section, I'm just going to send it back to you. Just go look it up. Look through there, and good luck because you're going to need it.
Right. All right, Dave, I appreciate you coming on here, and you have the great day, and I look forward to your other videos.
All right, Mikey. Thanks. See you.
All right. See you.
Bye.
The Flat Earth Sun and Moon Clock App. A dynamic new app to teach family and friends about where they actually live. The sky is a perfect clock. The sun measures the hours and days. The moon measures the weeks and months. The star constellations measure the seasons and years. 12/12 or 24-hour clock face, or go hands-free. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock App with new added features. World Time. See what time it is all around the flat Earth. A true Earth compass that shows true navigation across and around the flat Earth plane. Weather. Tap for detailed local weather information. Know what phase and where the moon is at all times. Watch the sun travel between the tropics for the seasons. Select an amazing background. Add your own or have the app change it to a new one automatically every time you use the app. Add a countdown to your next big date. Learn the truth about our world with the featured video of the day. Web button for additional flat Earth related features, from the mythical curve calculator all the way to Tartaria. While talking to friends, easily pull up pictures that expose the globe lie and shine light on the flat Earth truth. Video playlists in different languages. See the real trade winds circling the flat Earth. And clean screen features. Simply click off the items you don't wish to see. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app is the best tool to show your friends and strangers how our flat Earth actually works.